Hey guys, welcome back to Zach Vlog. So, here we are at the Wanhao again. As you may have seen recently, I upgraded the bearing blocks here for the x-axis, and I've attempted to switch the LM8UUs on the y-axis for bushings. As I said, these bushings didn't really work out so well. The idea is great. Those particular bushings, not the design, just these bushings didn't work out so great. So I'm going to reprint those another time and try that again. But for now, we're going to move on to other upgrades. So today we're going to look at a modification that I've been meaning to get around to. It's going to be the Z-axis braces. So essentially, what this modification does is it'll add feet to the printer, lifting the bottom of the gantry up off the table, and it will give more support to the axis in general by adding these threaded rods as supports. So these will end up sitting like that, allowing you to make fine adjustments to actually lock that Z gantry in place. We're going to need the two threaded rods for the adjustments and for the actual support. We're going to need a bunch of printed parts, which will be the front feet, the rear feet, a brace for the front here because this bends a little bit, the top braces, or locks for the braces. I've chosen to get nylock nuts for the bottom, so I'll be using these little plugs for the bottom of the front feet, and the actual adjustment knobs. I'll just be dropping a nut in those, and these will sit on either side of the upper mount, just like that. So, non-printed things we're going to need are going to be, obviously, the threaded rods. I'm not really sure how long they are. I just bought threaded rods and cut them to roughly the right length. We're going to need some nuts, the same size as, or same threading as the threaded rods. Same size, I guess, too. A couple nylock nuts just for the bottom. If you check the Thingiverse page, which will be linked probably over here. Over here somewhere, I don't know. If you check that Thingiverse page, there's instructions on two different ways to do the bottom feet. One involves the nylock nuts, the other just involves two normal ones. I've chosen to go with the nylock. We're also going to need some longer M3 screws. Once we go to put the top mounts on, possibly the bottom mounts, I'm not sure quite yet. I'll count them up and put a bill of materials in the description, I guess. But these ones that come in the Wanhao aren't going to be long enough. So we're going to need some M3 hardware. So, I think that's all we're going to need. I guess let's get started. Okay, so now that we have the 4 feet on, I'm going to put this front brace on. It has this cutout for your Y-axis belt there. Put it in place, lift up the front, slide it under, line it up with that slot, and it's a nice tight fit. It's not going anywhere. Awesome. Now I have the rounded off bolt. You'll see on the Thingiverse they talk about using a zip tie here to secure that bolt. Mine doesn't seem to have too much flex to it. And I also have the rounded bolt, so I won't be putting that zip tie on. So moving on, we now have to put these up on the top. These are going to go in a certain way. The indent, I guess you'd say, for the ball end here, it's going to kind of face inside on the bottom, and it looks like it's pretty much centered on the top. So we're going to put it on that way. Okay, so I'm gonna call it 9 M3s. I would get 20 M3s. I used 3 in each foot, so that's 12, and then 8 up here, that's 20 M3s. The ones that come in the printer are pretty small. The ones I used are a little overkill. They go somewhere around 10 millimeters. Moving on to the next step anyway. We're going to grab those plugs and set them aside, get them ready. What we're going to do right now is put the nylock on the ends of the rods. I'm going to take one of the rods. We're not going to be using the threads near the bottom, so I'm going to use vice grips to just grip this nice and tight. And then we're just going to put the nylock on. With about maybe a little less than that. A quarter inch, a little less than a millimeter. So we'll go ahead and do that with both of the rods. And now we're going to pull carefully, pull the printer, support it at this point until the front edge is over the table. And slide these rods up from the bottom. Let them rest about there, I guess. And at this point, we're going to put one of the normal nuts on. Okay guys, so I made a mistake there. I had to flip these two over. The indent should actually face out. It's the top indent, not the bottom. So, continuing on where we were, once you've got the standard nut on there, now that fits nicely there. But first we're going to want to put one of these on here, and that's going to be to adjust it. Put that extra low there, and we're going to drop this one on top. And put a nut in it. The hole on this one's a bit tight, so I'm just going to actually run it back and forth a few times. There we go. That works much better now. I'm going to cut the rod slightly too long, but there we go, I got it on, so now it shouldn't be an issue. Spin that until it pulls that rod up there, and I'm going to fit the bottom plug. Now, before I really tighten things up there, I'll leave that kind of loose. You want to do this side. So again, drop one of these on here, spin it way down there, bring it up here, drop one of those in there, and there we are. Now making sure the top making sure these top screws are still loosened off. Let's go ahead and tighten these up a bit. We'll lock that in place. Do the same with this one. And then you want to go ahead and tighten everything down after you've squared your printer. That's for another day. I'm mostly confident this is square enough for me right now, so I'll cover that another day. Alright guys, so here we are, I don't know, like a week and a half later. The Z braces are working out great. As I said at the beginning of the video, the reason for doing something like this is to secure the gantry so that it's not moving all over the place and not introducing waves and ripples in your prints. It's definitely done that job, and as you can see, I've moved on to other experiments. If you guys have been watching my Twitter, you guys have seen that I've been doing some experiments with dual extrusion. I've also been doing some experiments with flexible filaments. So I'll be doing some videos and more experimenting on that. So if you liked it, hit the thumbs up. If you disliked it, hit the thumbs down. Leave me a comment, hit the subscribe button somewhere down there. And if you feel like contributing $1 or $2 a month, it all goes toward filaments and stuff. There's the Patreon account. I'll put a card up there. So I think that's about it. Have a good one, guys.